Dumb fun.
Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Musical the Movie the Podcast. Musical the Movie the Podcast. Musical the Movie the Podcast with Andy and Steph. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Musical the Movie the Podcast. I'm Andy Fleming.
Hi, I'm Steph Smith.
Yes, and Steph, why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? Because we want to be insufferable in a more public way when we're talking about our love for movie musicals.
That's right. I want to say musical theater, but that's not even the term here because we're talking about
Well,
movies.
yeah, that's sort of the thing. Like, we both have a big love for musical movies, and I come from more of a musical theater background, but that's fun to translate into a movie form. That's a weird way to say that.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
nervous.
more.
This is my first podcast.
Your very first. Congrats. What? So,
Thank you.
talk about how you come from theater. What does that mean to somebody who has no idea what that means?
So treading the boards, as some say. No, they don't say that.
They do. They love to say that.
They do love to say that. Yeah, I was a theater kid. I was not like a good actor by any means, but I just really loved to be in shows, work on shows, talk about shows, go to shows, and that sort of followed me through adulthood.
Well, so that followed you into. At what point would you say you stopped actively participating in creating theater?
After college, I grew up. I put away my childish things. And yeah, just kind of didn't have time to explore it as much as I used to, and I miss it. And so, like, really primarily movie musicals have been like my foray into theater since then.
And
what about you? Can you tell us about your theater experience?
Sure, yeah. So I auditioned for plays in high school. I was not allowed to be in any of them. I auditioned for A Few Good Men, and Brother Michael Livaday said, "No, but can you talk to your dad about getting us some furniture for the set?" And I did. I hooked him up. They got free furniture. I went to see A Few Good Men with my mom, and she cringed as the judge banged the gavel on the loner table. And then I auditioned for pretty much every play, but the one that I finally cracked into the biz on was a little play called Everyman, an allegory about how you can't take it with you when you die. And I was cast as, so in the play, there's one character named the Five Senses. But what Brother Michael did is he made that character 5 characters who all say the lines together.
That's some classic high school theater shit.
Yeah. So that was the only play I was ever allowed to be in high school. I was Taste in the Five Senses. And the reason I know I was Taste, it was not in the text at all that I was Taste, but he gave me a tie with images of pizza all over it to wear. And that's how I knew that I was Taste. And so I've always just been like on the outside. And then I was a communications major at the University of Memphis, and we shared a building with the theater majors. And so it was always just like I was on the outside looking in at the theater kids, and that, they would show me Rocky Horror, and I'd be like, okay, all right. I mean, I understand all the sexual repression and everything that goes into this, but that doesn't make me want to be any less a part of this community. And so instead, I became a comedian, a stand-up comedian, and just watch musical movies. And I'm pretty fascinated by the turn from stage to screen and how things are either change or don't change when you make a play into a movie. And I think that's a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today, because which brings me to my next question for you, Steph. What is your relationship to the play Cats?
So I've never seen it live on stage, which is a great tragedy for this world. But I have seen they did a recording of the stage show that was first shown to me by our our guest for this episode, Tina. And I remember watching it and feeling like it unlocked something. I was like, I don't know, late high school, and it unlocked something in me about how a play doesn't have to be about anything. A play can just it can just be about cats,
Yeah.
and about dancing and T.S. Eliot poems, and that can be a play.
So yeah, and this was, by the way, the 1998. I assume that the famous like 1998 home video.
That's the one.
With the okay. All right. I've heard tales from a future friend of the show, Jamie Schreiner. Yes, no pun intended. Sorry, with tales. That Rum Tum Tugger was like quite the like sexual awakening for a lot of people of our age. Is that an experience you had?
Yeah. I guess I can't tell how much of it was how much of it was Rum Tum Tugger and how much of it was me being a 16-year-old girl in northern Wisconsin. But yeah. And speaking of adaptation, I think that's definitely something that's gonna carry through to this film adaptation.
Well, I have never seen Cats live either. I've never seen most musicals live, and I guess my relationship with Cats starts with the movie. It was the last movie that you and I saw together before the pandemic started. In January of 2020, we went to the beautiful AMC River East downtown, saw Cats, and I guess the only thing I want to say before we really get into this movie is that the weed I had that day must have been better than the weed I had when we watched this last night, because I loved it in the theater, man. I was just all on board, and boy, last night I felt like it was dragging. I felt like these Cat's tails were dragging.
See, I had the opposite experience, which is that, so when you and I saw the movie together, it was my second time seeing the movie, and I too had some weed, and I just like understood the cat. I was the cat. I remember coming out of that like ranting about the hybrid visualization of how they're people but they're cats, and like I really, it was transformational. And I have been abstaining. I've been sober all summer, and so I was very sober when we watched it last night, and I think I loved it more.
Really?
I think that it just like opened something in me, and I was really pleased to find that it was my love of cats shining through.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to get into this. The human cat hybrid, the acting, the CGI, all of it. It's quite the film from Academy Award nominee Tom Hooper, a British Australian filmmaker. He certainly did the damn thing here. No one can argue that he made this movie. But I mean, when we saw it, there was kind of this mix in the theater of people who were there to laugh at it and people who were there to enjoy a movie. And I do remember that because it's a very similar feeling that when I saw Morbius recently, that like there was wild applause when the title card came up, and then we sat in silence for 2 hours of Morbius, and then wild applause when the title card came up at the end. So like sometimes people just want to go to a movie to laugh at it, and I think that's what I thought we were doing when we saw it the first time. And then little did I know that I was going to fall in love with well, there's no way to say it, a number of cats. So I think with that, I think we should bring our guests and stuff.
Yeah. So I guess one thing, so Andy is a stand-up. He's a comedian. He's a podcaster. He's a very well-connected fellow. And through that, we're gonna have a lot of really fun comedic and performing guests coming on. And I am a former theater kid who has a lot of friends who are former theater kids and some current theater kids. And so we're each inviting a guest. And so I guess I'm gonna start by inviting the aforementioned Tina.
Hello.
Hi,
She
Tina.
agreed to her last name being on here, Tina Hoff.
It's me.
Oh, that's
Tina
true.
Hoff.
Tina Hoff. And then let me introduce my guest, who is a guest from the world of stand-up comedy. I don't believe he has a podcast, which is just wild for a stand-up comedian in this day and age. But you can catch him regularly on a podcast, and that podcast is NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, where he is often a panelist. And that's our friend Adam Burke. Hi, Adam.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
I want to know more about this pizza tie.
It was like photorealistic pizza, just all throughout the black background, photorealistic pizza.
Did you keep it?
I don't think so. I think it had to go right back in the costume bin afterwards. So they could use it for the production of Our Town the next year.
So using a
Set in a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. That was all they had, a window and a Chuck E. Cheese.
What was the director of this census play?
This was Christian Brothers High School's brother Michael Livaday.
My older brother went to a Christian Brothers high school.
Yeah?
I was just wondering if using photorealistic pictures of pizza on a black tie to signify taste, was operating on that level of irony?
I mean, I would love to think he was, but I don't know. He is, look, brother, I just want to say to Brother Michael, if he's listening, he taught me, he had some good taste often. He in high school, he told me to check out the movie He Got Game, which is like not a movie that a lot of high school teachers were recommending to their students, and I did, and I love that movie. So like, and then he showed us that I took a theater appreciation class under him, and learned all about how like we watched 4 different productions of Taming of the Shrew, all in wildly different styles. He really knew a lot of stuff, but like, man, sometimes he just put it right on the nose, and which is another sense, as smell. Tina, what is so you come from the world of theater, like Steph. That's how you guys met, I believe, right?
Absolutely. Steph and I played guards in a very early high school production of Richard III. We were incredible at it. And so
we use these halyards to like thump on the stage to make the sound of that guy getting beheaded. It was very dramatic.
So you were doing on-stage practical sound effects.
Oh, from a young age, of course.
Is that Clarence, when Clarence gets it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
yes,
right.
it is. Yeah. So did a lot of high school theater and some theater beyond. And when I decided that I wanted to, finish my bachelor's degree, I got a costume degree. I've never costumed a production of Cats. I would love to. Let's be real.
See that.
I know. But I mean, Cats and I go way back. This late 90s pro shot London recording of Cats. I would watch that shit every single day. Friends and I would go home for lunch in high school, and we would watch all the good songs and we'd skip all the boring ones. Literally every day of senior year.
I cannot wait to hear your opinion on what are the good songs and what are the boring ones, because it's a real crapshoot.
I will give you all of my hot takes.
Okay, I can't wait. And also, I want to hear, when we talk about our reboot at the end, I do want to hear your ideas for costuming.
Okay. I got you.
And so then you saw the movie?
Yes, Steph and I saw the movie together.
That's right. Okay.
We saw it, I think the night that it came out, maybe. It was very early in its run.
This would have been like Christmas 2019.
Yes.
And maybe like Christmas night 2008.
I think
we might have like left our families to go.
We absolutely did. It was a very foggy night, which I think was pretty appropriate, kind of setting the mood. I mean, Steph did fall asleep at some point during the movie. I don't know if you remember that, Steph. But I did not fall asleep. I was enraptured from that first note to like the very end.
I was mad that she had seen it without me, but her defense was I fell asleep, so I'm happy to see it again.
In my defense, it was very late and I fall asleep a lot.
In your defense, it was fucking Cats.
Cats, yes, thank you. What is your relationship to it, Adam? Had you ever seen it before the movie?
I hadn't seen it since I'd heard of it by reputation. I was living in London, I think, when there was the posters, the 2 posters that seemed to hold up London were Les Mis and Cats. Like if you took either one of those posters down, the entire city would crumble. But I'd heard of it by reputation, and I had heard that people thought it was great. And now, having watched it in 2019 when it first came out, drunk, and then rewatching portions of it in preparation for this, I would honestly rather watch Andy's play about the 5 senses.
To be clear, I didn't write the play. And also, to be clear, I realized my telling of it seemed like the play was about the 5 senses. We were on stage for about maybe 3 minutes. Whenever I tell a story about like a play I was in with one part, I'm like, oh yeah, Richard III is a play about a guy who gets beheaded.
Right. Hamlet is about a lady who falls in a lake.
I don't know. Okay, so I guess we should just get into it, right? Should we just jump into this plot?
Yeah, I love it. I love that we have like every possible representation of the spectrum of Cats.
I'm already objecting to the notion that there's a plot.
This plot is 2.5 pages it's so long, and I looked at it and I was like, how you meet the cats, that's it.
And that's an 11-point font, by the way.
Yeah.
Steph's prepared a synopsis for us. She'll roll through it. We'll take breaks as needed.
So we open on a giant moon and the dissonant broken chords of Andrew Lloyd Webber. Cats appear poking out of various shadows and street detritus as we watch a human dump a white bag in an alley. out of which emerges Victoria, played by dancer Francesca Hayward, a young ingenue cat who is introduced and welcomed by dozens of cats, namely Munkastrap, who I realized his name is never said. I had to like look it up, and when I said it just now, I didn't know if I was saying it right.
Oh, that's why
like,
it was confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, we were an hour 15 in the movie, and I was like, yeah, that one cat. What's the name? Sort of the main one. And you were like, Munkastrap? And I was like, I've never heard that word before in my life, and I've seen this movie twice.
It's a good name, too.
And these aren't just any cats, are they, Steph?
No, they're Jellicle cats.
That's right.
We're introduced to Munkastrap and his Jellicle friends, and they introduce Victoria to their Jellicle world as they prepare for the Jellicle Ball, an annual ceremony in which cats compete to be chosen to go to the Heaviside Lair. Now,
Okay,
I would
so-
like to introduce here my first question to the panel, which is they're dying, right? Like that's got to be the cats. What is the Heaviside Lair to you?
Oh, they're dying. Yeah. It's just they're dead.
Wait, hang on. Already my mind is blown. This is not something I got it all from the text.
No.
You're saying
sorry, I'm accidentally hitting my keyboard. Sorry about that.
It was
Playing some Jellicle
dramatic chord.
Speaking of dissident chords, I will say at the get-go, and I'm sorry if I repeat myself throughout, I just want to make this absolutely clear. I've never seen a movie like this where every minute it's on screen, I have understood what's going on less.
Truly. Truly.
And I would say care less, but I kept watching it. I remember watching it, like we were drunk when we saw it, but I remember watching it going, at some point, something's gonna make sense. And it never did.
No.
It's just not about that, Adam.
Yeah, I think we're gonna I think we're gonna learn a lot from this plot synopsis, honestly. But so you think they all have some form of like feline AIDS? It's some sort of like some sort of feline leukemia support group where like they're all gonna die, but only one of them can get this new life.
I mean, yeah, right?
Okay, all right.
They're gonna be reborn into a
Jellicle life. It's
into
in the text.
Jellicle life.
So, because our main character starts off life in a bag, which is not normally optimal place to keep a pet. So I've always thought let the cat out of the bag meant, tell a secret, but you're saying it means that cat has crossed to the other side of existence.
You gotta murder that cat.
So there's maybe that the cat was already dead. Victoria was already dead in the bag.
No, because she's not going to the Heaviside Lair. You're getting too ahead of yourselves here. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
All right. So let's go back to our alley.
Okay. Are we still on the song Jellicle Cats?
Yeah, we're just about to move away, but
okay. Well, I told
please.
Steph last night that I could spend 20 minutes talking about just the song Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats, and in fact, I also told Steph I'm pretty sure that Adam could explain some of these lyrics to me because there is some stuff in here that I don't like, because it starts off innocently and enough where it's like, are you blind when you're born? Can you see in the dark? Yeah, sure. These are cats. These are things cats do. And then it says, dare you look at a king? And it's like, are cats known for looking at kings?
It's an old expression. A cat may look at a king.
Okay, a cat may look at a king.
Have you ever heard that before?
No, I haven't. Must
And
be.
by the way,
Is there the rest of the, like, a cat may look at a king, comma, is there more?
Yeah, and then there's a thing, but I can't remember the rest. And apparently neither could they. And then immediately following that, they say, I love it, goes, is your bark worse than your bite?
Yes.
You had 6 lyrics about cats. You've already lost the plot. You already can't think of another thing that cats do, and you've gone to another species.
Well, let me tell y'all something about Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats. And this is not a joke. This is not a bit. My Spotify Wrapped of 2020, my number 1 played song was fucking Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats from this movie. And that's not a joke and it's not a bit. It was the number 1 song. And that kind of tells you what kind of year I had in 2020. I think what kind of year we all had. So I'm an expert now.
Okay.
On Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats.
Okay, what about the thing about let me find it. There's something about singing a perfect C?
Can you as cats do begin with the C?
Begin with the C.
Oh, okay.
And then they sing the note, the C.
There's something
That's
about
a really high one.
There is something
Is the
about
word cat begins with a C?
singing at astronomical heights. Boy, it really gets specific. I mean, were you there when the pharaohs commissioned the Sphinx? I mean, humans probably were too.
Well, the
Sphinx is
Egyptians,
a cat.
they worshipped cats. The
Can you
Egyptians,
ride on a broomstick to places far distant?
because
Can
witches
cats?
have cats on their brooms. Andy, you're asking the wrong questions here.
Okay,
What the
all
right
right.
questions are, I don't know what they are, but this all makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Okay,
again, these are the laziest things. You know what because T.S. Eliot wrote this in the 30s, and I bet that they used to like eat cats or something, and there used to be references to like, are you candied and given to children at Christmas? And they probably updated that and cut it.
Okay, this is the last one I'll ask about. Are you Whittington's friend?
Okay, does anyone else? You guys know this, right?
No,
No, not even
actually.
a little bit.
So
No.
Dick Whittington and I believe Puss in Boots is originally from Dick Whittington, but Dick Whittington is a British folk hero, and he's a young boy
Ah.
who walked to London and became like a big wheel in London, and he famously had a cat, Dick Whittington's cat. It's very
Okay,
Oh
English.
yeah.
And just so you know, I looked it up, and you're wrong. Antonio Banderas was originally Puss in Boots.
So you're right. That's right. Puss in Boots was created by the wizards over at DreamWorks.
Yeah,
SKG.
yeah.
You're sorry.
Yeah. Spielberg, Katzenberg, and the G guy.
All right. So the cats scatter as McCavity, played by Idris Elba. Our first like real Hollywood moment, appears and does a little pre-prize introduction of his spookiness. And then he dramatically vanishes. This is not one of the times where he yells McCavity and then disappears, but that does happen multiple times.
And it's a treat. It is a
It's a
treat. Nothing
treat.
makes me
Every
laugh harder
time.
in this movie than
Every
when
time.
he yells McCavity and vanishes.
It sounds like an angry police sergeant yelling at a
McCavity, get in here!
McCavity.
I want your badge on my desk by 5, McCavity.
It also sounds like a character created to teach kids about dental care. Also, can I ask this? Because again, I've got a lot of ignorance about this. I didn't know too much about the play. Beyond a great comedian called Matteo Lane used to do a fantastic bit about seeing the play live and how it like, horrified him. But I have a question. So McCavity shows up, he's wearing a hat. Some cats in this wear human clothes,
Mhm.
and some are just
That's right.
straight up naked.
Yeah, McCavity wears a coat through about half of this movie, actually, if I'm not
And then
mistaken.
and then he has like a nice reveal of his naked cat body.
I would love to see
Mhm.
more human clothing on these cats.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too much
I-
into it, but I think it would really help enhance it, right?
I've read your fiction.
I agree.
Mistopheles
He's
uses
got a magic top hat.
a top hat. Yeah.
He's got a vest with buttons on it. He's got like a waistcoat, all kinds of buttons.
And
I-
then
I
sometimes sometimes their clothes are their fur, and sometimes well, we'll get into Jenny and Dots in a second, I guess. She has the most sort of bendable rules about what's clothes and what's fur.
Yeah. So we're right about to get there. So McCavity has scared all the cats away. And then McCavity vanishes. And then everyone comes back and they sing about the naming of cats and introduce us to this idea that a cat has 3 names. And I love this song. I love that this
You're
is
saying
like,
singing.
I think there's no music under it, but they're singing and dancing.
This one's more
I
of a
think-
chant to me.
But that's musical though, right? But the weird thing about the naming of cats in this movie is they talk about the 3 different names, but did I get some Snyder cut where they didn't talk about the second name that a cat has? Right. So it's
No,
not like
they don't.
yeah,
They like introduce you to the concept and then they
Mhm.
just leave you hanging.
right. They're like, you got the name that people call you and then your secret name. And I'm like, what about the second name? And frankly, I'm angry about it.
Because so are we to assume in the movie, so to explain maybe to Adam at least what we're talking about, the originally I think in the stage play they talk about and in the T.S. Eliot poem they talk about there's 3 names: the name the family calls you, the name which is like your name that is your own, and then a secret name. And we don't really know what the deal is with the secret name. But so are we to assume in the movie that all these dumb names that these cats have are actually what the families call them?
No, because they call out some of the names like Peter, Alonzo, and James. Did you not memorize all of these? And then some of the other names of the cats that we don't hear that we hear in the stage play are like Bombalurina and Quaxo, or
Mhm.
you know, weird things. So like you've got like the normal people name cats, and then
Right.
you've got like the crazy name cats. It's kind of a mix in the
Right.
musical.
And then the secret names we'll never know. Not even we
Oh.
like not even T.S. Eliot in his writing of the poem was like, let me give the reader a little glimpse into the secret name world.
I did write down one thing, which is that I had never really understood that they gave us all of the ingredients for the Jellicle Ball that is coming up, and that there will be the Jellicle choice made at the Jellicle Ball, and that the cat who will be chosen as the Jellicle choice to go to the Heaviside Layer will be chosen by singing the song of themselves, of course, which is just kind of lovely.
Which is
That's
the
sort of
plot.
like a
Yeah,
name,
basically
the song
the
of
plot
yourself.
of the movie is that all these cats are going to drop in, sing a song about themselves for Old Deuteronomy, and try and get chosen as the Jellicle choice, right?
Right. Which in the stage show, that's not explicit as it is in the film, of course.
Well, there's a lot of things that are more explicit in the film.
In
Go
the
ahead,
stage
Steph.
show, it's just sort of happening at you, right? They don't they're not really like putting it in a context.
Well, so I also know in the stage show, Munkustrap sees the audience immediately and starts talking to the audience and talks to the audience throughout the play. That does not happen here until the very last second, the bone-chilling last few minutes of the movie that we'll get to. But
I think that that's part of why we get Victoria. I don't know, is she named even in the stage show?
She is. There is a kitten named Victoria in the stage show. The white
she gets a
cat.
dance solo.
She does.
Yeah.
But she's not in the stage show. She's not a protagonist in the classical set.
I don't think anyone's really a protagonist in the stage show.
I think everything that Munkustrap is explaining to her.
I'm antagonized by the entire production.
I believe that everything that Munkustrap is explaining to her in the movie, he is explaining straight up to the audience in the stage show.
They use Victoria as kind of that audience, that device to explain things to help us understand, but they're helping her understand. What's a Jellicle cat?
I really find the first 15 to 20 minutes of this movie to be so I'm blanking on the word for when something is unrelatable to you and you are outside of it and you
like abstract.
Editor's note: the word I was looking here for was alienating. There is no attempt for the casual moviegoer to be welcomed into this movie. In the first 20 minutes, they say Jellicle 150 times.
Andy, I had the exact same thought. When I was watching it, I tried to look at it through the eyes of somebody who had never seen it, and I couldn't do it because it just makes absolutely no sense if you don't have any sort of background or experience with this musical prior to that.
They also, when's the original stage musical? It's early 80s, right? Is that right? Or late 70s?
Yeah, it's like 81,
I think 81.
81, yeah.
So they also make the bold or shitheaded choice to start with, I think, what must have been from the original soundtrack, or to try to create the original. It starts with those awful fucking Yamaha synthetic keyboard sounds. I remember thinking at the time when I saw it at the theater, but I very much hear it. I was like, is this was that a mistake? Is this like a bootleg?
Is this a temp edit? Are they going to replace the MIDI?
Finish the score.
It's MIDI. Yeah, it sounds like it's. Oh my lord!
It's indistinguishable from when you leaned on your keyboard a second ago.
Exactly. Mine was a little better.
I don't hate the real synthy chords, but it is crazy how 80s it feels and how there is no attempt to make it a more modern thing at all.
But then they just ditch it.
Yeah, and then it's not under it for the rest of the play. Yeah. Or movie.
So many. This movie is nothing but bold or odd choices, depending on how disposed you feel towards it.
So that's how I feel about the first 15 to 20 minutes. I will say, once we meet Jenny Anydots, I feel like we're off to the races.
Hell yeah. Let's meet some cats.
All right.
So Munkustrap takes us to meet Jenny Anydots, played by Rebel Wilson. Jenny is a Gumby cat who lazes around by day and then sneaks around by. No, it's just she's a Gumby cat.
Can a Gumby not to get into the Socratic method on this, but can a Gumby cat, are all Jellicle cats Gumby cats, or can a Gumby cat be a Jellicle cat? Are they different?
It's like not all Jellicles are Gumby, but some Gumbies are Jellicle.
Oh, okay.
But not all Gumbies are Jellicle.
Which is funny because both Gumby and Jellicle both imply like gelatinous to me.
But if they're going to heaven, surely Jellicle is just they just slides out the AN, so it's angelical, right?
Angelical. Wow.
If they're supposed to be going to the Heaviside Layer.
Wow.
Wow.
Even Tina, who has been watching this for the last 30 years, is mind blown. But Gumby basically refers to her state of, is it her state of laziness?
Yeah, but I think there's also importantly her state of training mice and cockroaches to do cute dances in the middle of the night, which we are
Cute?
also well,
Let's-
so
I
what I
thought-
wrote down, I
sorry.
wrote down terrifying mice and kind of cute cockroaches. I think the cockroaches are kind of cute. They got little hats. They got
Flip it, man. Flip it. There is something so horrifying about that army of cockroach dancers that then Rebel Wilson as Jenny Anydots murders in front of our eyes as she's eating them. She's voring these dancers, and I don't
That's
like
true.
it. I don't
So
like
it does. I do want to say that I'm looking at the lyrics right now, and it does. Monkey Strap does say she sits and sits and sits and sits, and that's what makes a Gumby cat.
Oh, so she's lazy.
Yeah, that
I-
whole it's so funny that you think that this is when we've gone off to the races. This was when
okay.
this was when I started to wonder that someone had spiked my drink.
Adam, I have a question for you. What went through your mind when Rebel Wilson unzipped her cat skin to reveal a Klein outfit?
It's the only sense in which the movie had layers. I couldn't wrap my head around any of it. The fact that she has cockroaches that she is trained to dance and then eats. Is this a Syrian indictment on the London theatrical milieu in the late 70s?
Okay,
Like,
I think now is a perfect time for Steph you to bring in that story you have about Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It is the original director. What is his last name?
Prince.
Yes, thank you. And he's talking with Andrew Lloyd Webber, and he's saying, like, is this an allegory? Is this Queen Victoria? Is it about, the social tensions? And Andrew Lloyd Webber says, Hal, it's about cats.
So yeah, I don't think it's a Syrian indictment of anything. I think this cat.
I think it's about cats.
It does, and we're dancing all around it. But basically, she's, in her words, and this does make me laugh, deeply concerned with the ways of the mice. And so she trains the mice to sing and dance, and she trains the cockroaches as well. And also, what we should say, both the mice and the cockroaches are played by people.
Yes,
That's
and
right.
there's a great bit when I was rewatching it. I was rewatching that sequence, and I love it because, first of all, the editing in this film is bananas. It's like, if we keep cutting every 12 seconds, no one will be able to see how shit this looks. So, and there's literally a shot where they cut to the mice. They cut to one of the mice, and it's almost like the editor went, and then like cut away because the mice children look so fucking horrifying.
So yeah, so the cockroaches go. She unzips her fur. She's hoping to be chosen as the Jellicle choice. And I don't know why. Like, what is her? I think she thinks the cockroaches are her big argument for why she should get a second life. I mean, am I wrong?
I've never thought about that. It's like proof of concept.
Yeah.
I also love Rumor. Sorry, what's her name? Rumor.
Rebel Wilson,
Rebel
not
Wilson.
Rumor Willis.
Rumor Willis. How did you know that's where I was going? That is where I was going. Rebel Wilson's. But she made a bold decision just to be completely checked out on every one of her lines. It's so fucking funny. Where she can already tell. She can tell this is gonna be the turkey of the year. And at one point she goes, and they give them these cat puns, like, which aren't puns. At one point, like, she goes, "Oh, look what the cat dragged in," and you could tell that
Right.
off camera someone was just holding the check.
Just dangling it. And then, I mean, spoiler alert, but spoiler alert if you haven't seen Cats, Rum Tum Tugger is going to make his entrance next. And during the entirety of Rum Tum Tugger, they have Rebel Wilson making these jokes either to no one, like first to Munkastrap, and then just to no one. She's just standing by herself. Like, I told Steph, it was almost like they had Rebel Wilson for 5 days, and then she was just like, I got nothing to do. I can come in tomorrow and just do some puns. And there's just all these reaction shots of her just doing puns during Rum Tum Tugger, which is not as sexy as the rest of Rum Tum Tugger.
Rum Tum Tugger is so okay. So here's what I was saying before. I don't really remember my original introduction, but I will never forget the image of Jason Derulo entering as Rum Tum Tugger, the curious cat. The only other thing that I have to say about him is that he dances to the tune of the Seinfeld bass theme.
Now, is he British, Jason Derulo?
I don't
I
think
don't know.
so.
American.
think
No,
he
he's
is.
American. But he does a kind of passable British. I mean, Adam, you'd be able to tell us more than anything.
I have a real question. Rum Tum Tugger, is that his human name, his own name, or his secret name?
I think all the names we hear in the movie are the second names, their own names.
Their own name.
Tina, you feel that's accurate?
I mean, yes. I mean, we
Okay.
hear some of the human names, right? But I think most of the wild and wacky ones, I think we are to assume that those are their like cat names.
But
that
then,
the
for
cats
instance,
know.
Mungo Jerry and Rumble Teaser, they say that the humans talk about them and they use those names.
True.
But so I don't know. So who's to say?
Is Rumple Teaser not like a normal name where you're from?
No. Wait, are you talking about Ron Paul Teaser? That's a little trailer I got for when Ron Paul ran for president. Jason Derulo, he dances his ass off. He's singing. He looks great. I don't know what he's doing there, but he looks great.
Oh, he looks incredible.
We do, or as I should say, we call him in our house January, February, March, April, May, Jason Derulo. After that famous TikTok, or probably Vine.
I feel like his look was like the proof of concept that got them the money.
He's got like this like scarf thing going, but it's also like part of him.
Yeah, in the stage show, the costume is great at the beginning. He kind of starts off in his normal thing, and then he gets this lion-like, almost like a ruff, not a ruff, they're not dogs, but it's like a ruff,
like a mane.
to kind of to add to that. And so I think Jason Derulo here with his like coat, it's a good look.
But basically his whole deal is he's unpleasable. He's fickle, but you can't please him. If you offer him fish, he'll want rabbit. If you give him rabbit, he don't want that either. Put him outside, he wants to be inside. And he thinks that makes him deserve a second life.
Well, he's got to do one each way.
Oh, okay. That's a really good point. He wants to live one life being fickle and then one life not being fickle. The ultimate fickle choice.
No, it's pronounced Jellicle choice.
Oh, thank you.
So we get Rum Tum Tugger, and then we get a little quick introduction to Grisabella, the glamour cat, played by Jennifer Hudson, serving some Sweeney Todd beggar woman vibes. And we don't really get a lot of details, but we do get a lot of sassy ass cats like mocking this poor street cat.
Just tearing her apart.
Just
Truly,
vicious.
right to her face. The one thing I'll do say is that no matter what you're doing watching this movie, Adam, I don't know, I'd love to get your opinion on this. I feel like even once Jennifer Hudson starts singing, you're just like, okay, I'm listening. Like, she is the greatest sing actor of all time.
Yes, but the film never establishes why she's so fucking sad. That's how good she is, though. I will say is that you just buy that she's really sad. I take your point on that. That it's right. Like, oh, that's great, and then unfortunately, the rest of the movie continues unabated.
It seems like why she's sad is because she has been shunned due to her going with McCavity at some point.
But do they establish that in the film?
I think
yes,
they do. In that first scene where we meet her, or maybe it's later, but they do establish that in the film.
That's everything you need to know about the film. You have no idea why a primary motive has been established.
And it's unclear to me, like, if she went with McCavity, why is she still not with McCavity? And what happened there between her and McCavity.
I think we need a Cats 2, a prequel.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yes, we do.
Kittens.
Kittens.
Okay,
it's what's that noise in the alley?
Heat. Oh wait, they did that one already.
No.
I would take a Heat musical.
So we are introduced to the idea of being hateful to Grisabella, and then in busts James Corden as Bustopher Jones.
I mean, what an AB. I mean, we're getting emotional for the first time with Grisabella, and then here comes this motherfucker. Adam, you're already shaking your head. What?
Every time you mention a new bit, it reminds me that I've seen it.
I mean, James Corden is. I'm not a James Corden hater like a lot of people are. I'm not a James Corden lover, but this movie tries to make me a James Corden hater. This is the lowest I've ever seen James Corden go in his career, and he is like he's at his pinnacle as a famous person when he makes the choice to say, yes, I'll be Bustopher Jones.
The Jellicle choice, yes.
Thank you, the Jellicle choice. But I'm not sure there's anything he could have done, I'm not sure there's anything anyone could have done to make Bustopher Jones something that is for adults in a movie.
Disagree.
Go on.
Bustopher Jones is charming as hell. He's just a
Wow.
cat. He likes to eat. He's coming into all the clubs. He's eating all their leftovers. He's getting their winkles and shrimps, whatever a winkle is.
A winkle's like
charming.
a mussel.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I did not know what a winkle was. It's just a charming fat old cat, and he loves his life and he loves to eat. Same? Doesn't that just sound lovely?
I love they do some real fun trash can work here where like we're sort of reminded that this came from the stage, and they take the opportunity to like give us a little mini sound stage full of trash cans that are also like slides that you can move in and out of. I just love that choice.
Let me clarify. I feel I need to immediately redeem myself. I do not like James Corden in this role. Okay, I don't like that. Bustopher Jones as a stage character is just like a fat little tuxedo cat. Love it. James Corden, you get the fuck out of my movie. I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
I'm realizing, by the way, that like we are at the bottom of. We're like 33% of the way through the ostensible plot of this movie.
And something I
But
don't
we
think
gotta
is.
meet some more cats.
I will say something I don't think you even wrote down in that plot summary is that during Bustopher Jones, McCavity shows up and teleports Rebel Wilson away.
She's our first disappearance, importantly.
First casualty. Yes.
Our first
Does this happen in the
McCavity.
stage play?
No.
In fact, in the stage play, I don't think McCavity even shows up until Act 2.
Oh, did you just call him a casualty?
No, but now I will. So Jenny Anydots is the first McCasualty.
and then Bustopher Jones follows shortly after. He also is a casualty. And then we do meet.
Can we
finally-
talk about the McCavity tricks him into trying to jump into a trash can that he has booby trapped? Is that correct?
I think so.
Right. Then we get the shot of them looking in it, being like, "Oh, where did he go?"
Where did he go?
Like it was magic.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, they
understand it.
do
I
have
don't
that
like
magic
it.
cat.
Yeah, but he's one of the good guys.
That's not the kind of logic that you need to depend
Wait,
on it.
who's the good? What? There are good and bad
The
guys
magic-
in this?
There's
Well, McCavity's
The magical
bad,
Mr.
clearly.
Mistopheles.
I kind of got that he was, but also he's making cats disappear. So to me, that's sterling work. Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, I should
All
say
right.
I'm definitely allergic, by the way.
But also, wait, is James Corden's character is a good guy, just a horrendous glutton who just walks
yeah, there's
around?
nothing like inherently evil about being a glutton.
Well,
Yeah, but he's an upper class guy.
I know a certain book that would disagree with you about that. It's called the Bible.
Yeah, it's got 6 other. Wait, is this the 5 senses or the 7 sins? I can't remember.
Yeah, I was gluttony. That was the sense of gluttony.
No, but he's just like an upper class. Like he's the St. James, right? Isn't he the cat of St. James or
The
something?
cat of
like
St.
that?
James. He
Yeah.
goes down to all the clubs. He runs around to see what food is happening at all the clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is nothing inherently good about him to me, except that he's nice to Victoria.
I also thought it was funny, Andy, that you were talking about what is in this for kids. Like I don't understand who this. I don't know about the stage play, but the film I do not know who it's aimed at. Do children like seeing cats covered in offal? Like at one point he just dumps an entire like bin full of carcasses on cats, and I'm like, that's Grand Guignol. That's horrendous. That's horrendous.
Who is this for is a big question. Like I read about how the play was like a sort of a revolution in a play that you could bring the family to, but this movie definitely does not seem like it's for families. This movie seems hypersex. I would call it hypersexual. At least attempts to be hypersexual. It's that Rocky Horror kind of hypersexual, where it's like this is what a virgin thinks is sexual.
What is the rating? Is this a PG rated film? I think so. This isn't PG. This is certainly not R. I think
No,
it's
the
PG,
butthole
isn't it?
cut, of course, was R.
Of course. These cats do have dance simulated sex in the stage show.
Oh, just a
But
lot of it.
It's very tame.
Oh yeah, so we got to meet Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser, some
Oh
twins,
boy.
and they lure Victoria into their house where they just have a lot of like mischievous, chaotic fun that ends up with Victoria trapped in a pearl necklace while the family dog is about to attack them, and they just kind of leave her for dead.
It's the family dog played by a human in a dog costume. I can't remember.
It's actually not on camera.
It's off. So I think that's going to mean a yes.
I think that there's a choice to never see a dog on screen.
Right, because that would push believability.
Yeah, we've seen the cockroaches and the mice, and that's all fine. This is a PG rated movie, by the way.
Thank you.
So after we meet Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, we get our first like substantial sexual tension between Mr. Mistopheles and Victoria. Mr. Mistopheles rescues Victoria, and they do a lot of necking. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. They're necking. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. And I have to say, I don't appreciate Tom Hooper and his desire to no homo Mr. Mistopheles at us. Mr. Mistopheles is very, very gay in this show, and it's just he's trying to throw a woman at him, and I don't appreciate it.
Really? So is the Mistopheles Munkastrap ship there in the play, or is it just?
It's coded
just gay the way that Scribble
it's coded a little bit, right?
Okay.
I mean, if the fan fiction is to be believed,
Right.
And I think it sort of depends on the adaptation or the staging.
They share some lascivious looks, those two, in the movie, Munkastrap and Mistopheles.
They do.
I also want to talk for a second about Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, who are, I think, the biggest dicks in the play. Their whole thing is that they are going around fucking with people's food and their belongings. And I do like a number of the cats, their whole characteristics are we're assholes. Rum Tum Tugger is like, you can't please me. Even Mistopheles with his magic is like, yeah, I take knives and I hide them in the lawn later in the play. But Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, their whole thing, and there's a video somewhere on your phone stuff of me drunk or high or something talking about how much I hate Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer from the middle of the pandemic that I think you sent to Tina. I truly hate them.
They're little chaos demons. I love them.
And then one other thing last thing about Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer. The movie has set us up to be like, oh, and here's Jenny Anydot, she's Rebel Wilson, and here is Buster Jones, he's James Corden, and then here's Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, and they're played by two people who don't even have a Wikipedia page. And it just seems like they were casting, and they cast like the first 4 people, and then they're like, oh, we ran out of money.
Yeah.
Let's just go to unknowns for the rest of the cast.
Sidebar, edited out. My internet is being a real shit show right now,
okay.
so I apologize for that.
That's all right.
It's probably just 2 cats fucking with it.
Probably. There is at least one cat in this house. There could be more jellicles in the walls.
Wait,
we
and
just don't know.
We're going to talk about this, but your cat looks so much like old Deuteronomy. I was just
my
like
cat
staring
is
at
old
Judy
Deuteronomy.
Dench. Yeah.
Wow.
Is she wearing a wedding ring?
He's not. No, he's not, unfortunately. It was a real choice though, because if you don't know this, here's some cats lore. There's 2 versions of Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer. The song.
I was hoping we would get into this. The Mungo Jerry Rumpelteazer controversy.
We're getting into it.
Yeah.
There's the earlier version, which is the version we see in the film, that's kind of like shifty, kind of spies a little bit. And then there's like wow, like fun kind of we're going around. And that is the version that's in the like pro shot 1998 stage show. And that was one of the songs we would watch every day, because that song is charming as hell. They're great dancers. They're having a lot of fun. They're like, look at us. We're all cheeky. We're getting our stuff.
They do like those
cartwheels
things too.
Yeah, where they
they're so good.
One of them kind of goes upside down and they cartwheel
and they just
together.
keep going.
Yeah. And it's so great. And they're like, oh, you guys, even at the end of it, all the cats come out and they're like, hey, why are you stealing the stuff? And in this, they like literally leave her to be murdered by a dog.
Be murdered by
a
dog.
Choice.
Believe it or not, you're not the first person who has complained to me about the choice of which Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer melody they used in this movie.
Was Steph the other person?
No, Steph was not the other person.
I read a review in prep for this where someone pointed to that scene and said didn't like the sexual overtones of basically a threesome scene with Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, because he left her with a pearl necklace. And I was like, I don't know. And I was
but it's like, hey, buddy, I think that's on you.
That's more of a you thing.
Okay, we have to stop talking about Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer.
Also,
that's
real
not
quick,
true, but we're going.
There was a very popular musician in the 70s who took his name from Mungo Jerry.
Oh yeah, in the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
If
right.
your daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If your daddy's poor, do whatever you want. That guy.
Yeah. So very much based his character off the original Mungo Jerry.
He's referenced in Avengers Endgame, oddly enough, where Yvette Nicole Brown is describing Tony Stark's weird facial hair to someone. He's like, was it more Mungo Jerry? And yeah, definitely Mungo Jerry.
So one thing we get here is a little interlude where we see what McCavity has been up to. He has been vanishing these cats to a barge on the Thames, and they're being guarded by Growl Tiger, played by Ray Winstone.
What I said out loud to Steph last night, what the fuck is Ray Winstone doing in this movie?
I believe you're quoting Ray Winstone as you say that.
He's just like, and I mean, he has maybe 3 lines in the whole thing, and they're just like, who are you? And he's like, I'm fucking Ray Winstone, ain't I? And I think that's one of his lines.
Yeah, I'm a fucking cat.
Yeah, it's wild. Growl Tiger, from what I can tell, which is Ray Winstone's character, he's in the play. He is a character played by Gus the theater cat, and is only exists in Gus's recounting of playing Growl Tiger. But here they decided to extract him from that, make him a real cat, make him McCavity's easily defeatable henchman. Played by Ray Winstone. Is
there any thought, and I don't want to jump the gun, but is there any thought that, like, because it sounds like they made massive changes. Well, I say massive changes, but they sound like they felt like they needed to create a structure, some sort of story structure, which they did not. Right. I mean, I can see that they tried to. Right. But do you know anything behind the scenes? Was there a hope that this was going to make it so much more marketable, that there was some scintilla of a story?
That's interesting.
The only thing I can speak to about that is that Andrew Lloyd Webber apparently sent a message to Universal Studios a year before the movie came out and said, "You've got a car crash on your hands if you don't get this thing under control."
Wow.
And so I don't know.
Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber has spoken.
And his message was never responded to.
Wow.
And so I don't know if it's that kind of stuff that he was talking about, but
I do think that this whole, like, we see McCavity and he appears and he makes his McCavity noise. Like, I do think that that's their attempt to, like, put a plot onto it, but it's so disjointed. Absolutely. Like, there are no stakes. Like, spoiler alert, they're all gonna escape with no problems whatsoever. Like, it's so incidental. It kind of seems like it was like a way for them to get like another stage for us to see.
And
like,
how do they escape?
They escape by remembering that Jenny Anydots can unpeel her skin.
So yeah, literally, it's an escape via costume change.
Oh wow, I forgot about that.
She unzips her skin, and for some reason that makes her able to get out from under the chains.
Oh, okay. So we're finally making some Jellicle choices. So after we cut away to the barge, we come back to see the wise and beloved matriarch, Old Deuteronomy, played by Judi Dench in what I believe is her final form. She appears out of the mist, and she calls them all to the Jellicle ball. And so now we all of our little cat buddies crawl into the abandoned Egyptian theater. I assume it's the Egyptian theater because of the cats. I don't know if there's anything more to that.
A clever nod.
Well, you just made me remember that at some point someone's talking to Bustifer, and someone starts to call him a bastard and goes, "You're a bast," which is the Egyptian god of cat, or Egyptian cat god, I should say.
It's, I believe, the god they worship in Black Panther.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you're now 2 for 2 for dragging this conversation into the Avengers. So that's going to be a running theme throughout this series of podcasts.
I'm sure listeners, get your drinking game ready.
It's sort of a running theme through dating him too.
Fair enough.
Okay. So we start the Jellicle Ball. What I've written down here is the Jellicle Ball commences with a bunch of glorious twitchy tail work. We get notable interludes from Jason Derulo and Les Twins, who guest as Cats, Plato, and Socrates.
They're twin brothers who are a French dance duo. And they do a nice little number here.
They got a nice little number. Yeah. And we get a nice group dance that ends with everyone panting and lusting upwards. I don't have a lot to say about it other than it's a great group dance number and I'm a fan. Victoria kind of becomes our little our eyes, and she peeks outside and sees Grisabella again, who is memorying all alone in the moonlight. And here is where we get a moment between them. Victoria sees Grisabella and tries to relate to her with the Oscar grab Beautiful Ghosts, written by Taylor Swift and Andrew Lloyd Webber.
They did what we are doing in every episode of this podcast, and they wrote a new song for the remake to try and get an Oscar nomination. And it's not a bad song. The balls on them to put it right after Memory is wild.
Yeah. What do you think of it, Tina? Because you're the stan.
I'm not a fan. I gotta say I'm not a fan. And part of it is we already have a nice kind of like slow ballad. We have Memory. We don't need Beautiful Ghosts. Were they nominated for an Oscar for that one?
Oh no.
I know they didn't win it, but were they nominated?
No, the Oscars wouldn't have nothing to do with them. They were nominated for a Golden Globe, but that's I'm pretty sure that's a check in the mail.
The song is fine. I think it was good if they're going to use Victoria as their kind of through line to give her a song. It's not my favorite.
Who wrote it?
This is what's interesting to me is it's actually very deliberately co-written by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Taylor Swift in a room together. Like they get in a room together. Andrew Lloyd Webber says, "I start playing a melody," and she just starts improvising lyrics. And so they actually co-wrote it. They didn't email it back and forth. They got in a room together and wrote that thing.
We're gonna meet Gus the theater cat, played by Ian McKellen.
Honestly, here's what I'll say about this one: should have been nominated for an Oscar. Ian McKellen for this movie. He is doing so much acting.
He is making all of these
doing a lot.
Small choices. Ugh, I love it.
Well, when I went to see this in the theater, and then because I went in drunk, came out drunker. But people the next day were like, I know they understand you went and hate watched it. Was there anything you enjoyed about it? And I said, there's two things I enjoyed about the experience. One was at one point, a woman behind us just went, "I don't like their feet," which made us laugh. And then at one point in the movie, McKellen looks point blank at the camera and just goes, "Meow." Clearly not in the script. Clearly just decided this is my feline choice.
I can't explain why, to me, everyone else is doing cat choreography, but Ian McKellen is a cat. He is just like lightly purring. He's like rubbing his head against things as he walks by them. He is doing a different level of cat acting in this movie to me. I love it.
Can I tell a very short anecdote? It's one of my favorite theatrical anecdotes, but it's you ever heard of The Wind in the Willows? It's like what Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is from.
Sure.
They were doing that on the National Theatre, and they had some old actor playing the character of Badger. And this was in the 80s. So they made them all take movement classes. They made them, like the rat had to study rats, and then the birds had to study birds. And this old actor wouldn't go to the classes. And they were like, "Well, you're playing the character of Badger. We think it's important." And he just cut them off and he goes, "You know what? I've actually studied badgers a lot. And you wouldn't believe this. They move almost exactly like I do." I feel like McKellen did the exact same thing. He's just like, "No, I got this."
McCavity does disappear Gus the theater cat. Also, my interjection here is just that Andy and I have a pet tortoise, and our pet tortoise is named Asparagus after Gus the theater cat. We have Gus the theater tortoise.
And last night she got to see this movie for the first time.
And she loved it.
Loved it.
I can't imagine how long it would seem to a fucking tortoise.
She walked out and it took the whole movie.
So we're gonna meet Skimbleshanks the railway cat.
Now here's the thing. I love Skimbleshanks. It's too late in the movie for this bullshit. This should have been much earlier.
Andy, I disagree. We need it at this point, right? We need to bring the audience back in with the absolute fucking banger that is Skimbleshanks the railway cat.
I do vaguely remember liking this. I think this is the one number I like.
They take us away from the theater through movie magic. He's just kind of like tap dancing, and all of a sudden he's on a train. Like there's you don't need to know why. It's Skimbleshanks.
The cat of the railway train.
The ways that people travel in this movie are teleportation, costume changes, and tap dancing.
Also being catapulted up onto a bin.
Yes.
After pointing out that it takes several cats to do that.
Yes.
Thank you. We cannot forget that. That is
needs several cats for it to look as bad as it does for me to get when I get lifted up on wires.
There's a lot of fat shaming in this movie.
There's a lot of fat shaming.
Why?
And I feel like they either needed to cast someone way fatter or way skinnier as Bustopher Jones.
Right.
All right. So after Skimbleshanks, we meet Bumballerina Taylor Swift, who gets a bump up so that she can sing the McCavity song. I like this performance. I like the catnip, the glowing catnip that she like blows on everyone. I think that they do a good job like capturing her little Taylor Swiftiness. As I referenced earlier, this is when McCavity finally appears, and now he's naked. He's dropped his big cat coat, and he's just I'm not
He's just
I'm not
Ken
trying to.
dolling it there.
He's just Idris with his elbow out.
He's just
Yeah. He
like-
said he was quoted as saying, "I want to show everyone my cavities."
he's
I
called-
really appreciated the kind of catnip she's drugging everyone. That's something we didn't get in the stage show, and I think that they needed to do more with catnip in the show, and so that's why.
Yeah, you got to wonder where she got all that catnip from. Maybe we'll explore that a little later. But yeah, no, I like this song. I like the sort of jazzy number, and she looks great. She sounds great, and she's not walking all around, so she doesn't look like as much of an idiot as everyone else does. She just stays in the chair or in the little moon that she's in. She's in the DreamWorks logo, I think.
I was surprised when I saw this film. I was almost said movie, but it is a film. When I saw this film, because Bombalurina in the stage show is just one of the main cats, right? And she's just kind of singing along with everyone else. So when I had heard that Taylor Swift was cast as this character, I was like, wow, she's going to be in the whole movie. And then she wasn't. I would have appreciated maybe a little bit more Taylor Swift in kind of the Jellicle Ball, right? I would have liked her in the, the weird graveyard when they're talking about the cats' names. She does great in the song, but I could have used more Swift.
Yeah, but you get the sense that they had her for 3 days or something,
Absolutely.
right? And it's like,
That's
if you didn't get it then.
I read that she auditioned, she screen tested for Eponine in Les Mis, also directed by Tom Hooper.
Oh, wow.
But then she was just offered this without having to audition. And also one of the reasons I read that people think this movie failed is that, well, they say that they cast Swift to sort of get young people in and get that group in, but that Swift did not promote the show heavily to her friends, or sorry, not her friends, her fans. I was thinking about you guys promoting this podcast when it comes out.
That's the cautionary tale.
But so she didn't, she really Democratic Partied it, where she didn't really endorse the movie till it was too late.
I feel like I get the sense that she was there for like 2.5 days, and James Corden just wouldn't leave. For the 5th time, that's a wrap on Corden.
Just very pointedly clapping at him, like, thank you.
And he's just like shows up every day and he's done his makeup himself, and he just hangs out at Crafty and just like, you guys need background for this?
So McCavity, well, there's no other way to say it. He disappears old Deuteronomy, and everyone is freaking out because she's their favorite. So we've seen Mr. Mistopheles this whole time in his magical getup. And I think at one point he gave like magical lightning to Gus, the theater cat, but he hasn't really done anything. And so now we're going to use the magical Mr. Mistopheles to like reconjure back old Deuteronomy.
I thought we were going to say reconstitute old Deuteronomy. I was like, ooh, okay.
And that sounds like it's going to be a lot of trouble, right, for him to do that?
No, it's not. He's just going to like, they're going to give him like a song that's kind of like when they clap Tinkerbell back to life in Peter Pan, and he's just going to kind of do it.
Okay. I hate to say this, because this is the bit, when I was watching it in the theater, this is the bit where I started yelling, because I kind of got it in the sense of, the Gumby cat. Yeah, there's cats that like are very lazy and all they do is lie around. And then there's cats, the Bustafer. Yeah, there's cats that scavenge a lot. And the railway cat. Sometimes there's a weird cat that hangs out. There's no cats doing magic. I was like, I could sort of see, and this is the way of describing cats, but all of a sudden this cat is not only just produces flowers out of a hat, straight up necromancy.
That's like he does at one point mention that it's a knife, right? He's like, oh, the family's missing a knife. It's because I put it in the yard, and that's basically magic.
That sounds like a line from Silence of the Lambs. This movie is so strange. Can you give me that? I know that I'm not trying to be overly negative, but it's a very odd film.
I mean,
I
No,
don't
we're
know if we've
talking.
established that yet, that that's a strange movie. So I'm honestly surprised that you're bringing that up.
Yeah.
So unprompted.
You haven't lied once, Adam.
He's right, though. He's right, and he should say it.
Okay.
But yeah.
We're so close to the end of this movie. So McCavity brings back old Deuteronomy. The other cats also escape via Jenny Anniot's costume change. And then Victoria remembers that Grisabella is still hanging out outside and brings her into the Jellicle Ball and just encourages her to sing her feelings. And now we get Memory.
But this is the second time we get Memory in this picture, right?
Yeah, and I
Yes.
hate that. Is that
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that way on
It is
and
that way.
It is. I did read
I
that it is
hate
that
it.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate it. They could have
'Cause in the
fixed it. Why didn't they fix it?
Because I imagine
They
in
could have
the
done a
stage
lot
play,
of things.
in the stage play, Memory probably closes both acts, right?
The addressing of cats, like it does in the movie, closes the play, but it does close Act 1. Yeah.
Which of the two times Jennifer Hudson does it in this film do you like better? Which do you think she cries more convincingly?
Oh, it's this one. This is the one where like I'm laughing at things, I'm complaining about things, and then all of a sudden I'm crying. Like
I mean,
this is the one where she's
this
she-
is
I
the
have
one that
goosebumps.
gets her. It gets her like her Jellicle choice, right? That's this. Like she
Yeah.
is singing her heart out. This is what gets her to the heavy side layer, and she's putting it all in there, and she's putting it all out there, and I
Yeah.
respect it.
There should be an award for a recognized award for the best thing in a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Where like she should have gotten like you almost the fact that you're like stopped all your snarky remarks for a second, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that her performance kind of sits on its own outside of all this other nonsense that's going
I think they call it the Justin Timberlake Award.
on.
Memory is undoubtedly it is a beautiful song, right? It's a great ballad. I was talking to my husband about this, and he goes, "Did they write that for cats?" I was like, "Yes." He just assumed it was just like a different song they just put into Cats.
But here's the thing, though. That's a very fair question. It's far and away the best song. I think that if someone said that it's doing the numbers, it's the most successful song from a musical because it's been covered by so many people. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, they never mentioned the word fucking cats once in it. It's sort of made to be a standard. It's sort of built, it doesn't quite sound like anything else in the musical. So I'm just saying I sort of see his point. It's kind of
I
head and
think it's
shoulders.
also it's one of the few songs that's not a T.S. Eliot poem, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think Andrew Lloyd Webber tends to do a thing that, you know, they do in a lot of musicals. A lot of composers do this where they make a song that can be like the single, right? So
Right.
in kind of his other musics, you get All I Ask of You. Okay, you can have a couple people singing that. You could put that on the radio, you know. So I think this was that song, right? The song that's intended to be on the radio. It's a great song. Jennifer
Yeah.
Hudson does a great job of it. I do wish it was just one, not kind of a little preview and then like the touch me, but it's okay. It's good. I like it.
You could see why they were trying to too, because they might have panicked a little bit and gone like, you know, that why they might have done the preview. What did you call it? The pre-prize?
Pre-prize.
Like
The
they might
pre-prize.
have done that because they're like, fuck, we got to show them that this like you
Don't
know,
worry, memory's coming.
This is why you know this.
We
thing.
got you.
But
Okay, guys, please don't leave, please.
I also wanted to say that something to what Steph just mentioned about how it's not from T.S. Eliot, where like, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna be overly harsh in this, but like lyrically, compared to most musicals, the lyrics in this are shit. And I say that because it was poems written for 9-year-olds. It's poems
Right.
written for children. There's a lot of kind of like facile, kind of silly rhymes and things that like the sentence structure is shoehorned backwards. Because these were all just letters. It was never really meant for publication, so I totally get it. But the fact they lifted that wholesale, and then Memories, I think lyrically is very good. And I think it just sticks out in so many ways.
And so it's like maybe you guys should have just started from scratch.
Pun intended.
Maybe you guys should just go write another musical instead of this.
I think
And then
that's
get
called
Starlight
Express.
There you go.
We were the same joke.
What's the opposite of cats?
It is Starlight Express,
Trains.
apparently.
It's trains.
Trains. So obviously Grisabella is the Jellicle choice, having bared her soul to all the
Obviously.
Jellicle cats. She gets into a chandelier, which has to be on purpose because it's Andrew Lloyd Webber, and this time the chandelier is being raised, and Mr. Mistopheles turns it into an air balloon, and it flies off into the sky. And then we get one last shot. Our only like closure on Macavity is him sort of trying to like jump on to the string of this air balloon, and then he falls, and that's it. That's the whole story of Macavity.
He has a Beauty and the Beast death. He's a Disney death.
Well,
I don't
he
think
actually
he
falls,
dies.
and then we like sort of see him fall, and then sort of he gathers himself and he looks up and he does like a
Oh.
drat, you know.
Yeah.
Because I just meant in Disney
Oh, and
movies,
he tries. Yeah.
it's a way to
We
kill
do
someone
see him
else.
like he tries to like do his magic thing, and he can't do his magic thing. So I don't know if we're
Sure,
like
yeah.
supposed to believe that he is, severed from. I don't know.
Yeah, my theory is that Mr. Mistopheles has somehow stolen his connection to the magic cat force.
So, Tina,
Canon accepted.
in the musical, how does this chandelier fucking air balloon transition happen?
It pretty much exactly like this, to be honest. The set piece just
Wow.
kind of like raises up and they take her right up into the rafters.
I did read that it's one of those things where it's sort of you can make a choice on it if you're putting on this musical, and that sometimes it is a chandelier and sometimes it's a hot air balloon. Well, actually, I don't think it's ever been a hot air balloon, but
I think it's like an old tire or something.
there's an old tire that rises from the pile of junk and carries her, and then there's, I think in the original productions there's stairways, and then in the 90s and 2000s it became a flying saucer, basically.
Of milk?
Space cats.
Yeah, a flying saucer of milk.
So then the Jellicles are all together on one of those lions in Trafalgar Square
Mhm.
for some reason. And
Because
they're
that's a
watching
big cat.
It's a big cat.
Mm,
Lion,
It's
big cat.
fair. It's a big cat.
Oh.
Lion, big.
Oh, I
cat.
thought they were just all like enthusiasts of the Napoleonic Wars. So I
I mean, it
misread
can be
that
two
entirely.
things. Two things can be true.
And
There's
I mean,
another
Macavity
layer.
is the Napoleon of crime.
No, that's Moriarty, isn't it?
Moriarty is the Macavity of Napoleon. Got it.
Oh, they do, but they do. At one point,
Yeah.
there's a poster at the beginning of the movie that says Moriarty, and it switches and then ends.
Oh yeah, and then it switches to Macavity. You're right.
Is there a play about just Moriarty?
There is
Oh.
now.
Why would there be a poster of just Moriarty?
From your
Like
There's
it'd be
so
like a
many-
poster that, not to take it back to the Avengers, but it'd be like if there was a poster that just said Thanos.
That's three. Don't say that too loudly because Andrew Lloyd Webber will definitely make a Moriarty musical. Also, in all the shots of Trafalgar Square, like all of the posters are cat themed, aren't they? They've got like Agatha Christie's Mousetrap. They've got
Yeah.
the Cat and the Canary.
Also, and a lot of time, or it seems like sort of at the very beginning they're not, and then there's this switch when night happens and they all become cat things.
Right. Which actually
Oh,
happens
that's
in London.
interesting.
Oh, really? Did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to ask you, how are the milk bars in London?
Absolutely covered in cats. It's a health issue.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So here we are. They're watching Grisabella ascend, and then this is the moment old Deuteronomy pierces that fourth wall in our souls with
Terrifying.
a little concluding paragraph, the addressing of cats, and and that's it. We end with. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, which includes the completely normal sentence. Let me give your memory a jog or something. if you need to give your memory a jog, because that's how you would say that.
That's how you say it. Yeah.
Then a cat is not a dog.
Yeah.
Again,
the
so I
cat is
now
not a dog.
I retract the lyrics in this are shit.
Yes, straight up chilling when Judi Dench looks into my soul all of a sudden. It's I'm sitting there enjoying a movie. I'm separated from it, and all of a sudden she's talking to me.
Yeah.
And I don't.
As the world's most basic zoologist.
The dog is not a
A
cat.
cat. Yeah.
And this is my thesis. My final thesis in zoology
Webster's
school.
defines a cat as not a dog.
Not a dog.
And just like that, we're out, right?
That's it.
I mean,
Taylor Swift's
I was
Beautiful
gonna
Ghost
say
plays.
we get Beautiful Ghosts as the credits to play us out.
Do you like it
Also,
any better sung by Taylor Swift?
No.
Okay.
Also, you are leaving out the fact that as the balloon chandelier thing floats off into the ether, we see the face of a cat in the clouds.
Do we?
Yes, you do.
I didn't even
Just
notice
in
that.
case for a second you forgot what this fucking movie was. Oh, Pooper was like, give me a CGI cat face in those clouds. Good Lord.
So as predicted, that took us way too long.
Oh, geez.
But I guess the question I would love to quickly propose before we start talking about remaking this and then get out of here is, did this successfully go from stage to screen?
Yes.
Ooh, I think so.
Wow,
I think
that is
so.
a shocking answer from that
I
half of the
think
Zoom.
I think the fact that we are here talking about it, and the fact like my only complaint is the heavy-handed McCavity plotline. Like I know that we're talking about how there's no plot in this movie, but I think that my only complaint is that there's too much plot in this movie.
Exactly. Steph, and I agree with that. I think they just needed to embrace it for what it was. That would take this movie from like 99 to 100 for me. Like, embrace the ridiculousness of it and just go for it, right? But I mean, general audiences, man, those general audiences,
You got to sell them tickets.
You think maybe they were trying too much to make it serious, or just not seeing the fun in it?
I think they were trying too much to make it a
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed
I
to
mean,
just what it is. It's about cats.
I mean, what if you started off with like a Steadicam shot of like a theater in 1982, and you just walk through, and then we get the 1982 version of it on stage. And you know what I mean? It's just like they were trying to. First of all, I'd say I think this movie is a success in that it's a great hallmark of doing the wrong, like not understanding what the thing's strengths were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And thinking that
Yes.
no one was going, those cats don't look enough like cats. That's why I can't get into the musical. Like, that wasn't the fucking issue. And it lost $70 million, which is
Yeah.
like an amazing number.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
Adam,
incredible.
can I tell you saying start the movie off by, panning down to the theater? Chills. All right.
Well, it's not even my
I'm
idea.
there.
There's what's Olivier's version of Henry V starts in the globe,
Oh.
and
Okay.
then segues to, and then the midpoint of the movie is completely realistic, and then you go back to the globe. And
You
it's
could have
that's
just
the-
taken credit for it though, dude. I would never like, you could have just
No,
been
but
like,
it's-
thank you.
Again, it's that thing. It's like, why do people like the movie? And then, I mean, why do people like the play? And I don't think people ever like the play because they actually thought there were cats on stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They liked it
Yeah.
because of the song.
Well, I think we've started our reboot then. I think our reboot starts with that Steadicam shot, hat tip Laurence Olivier. And then, I feel like often when we do this, we're going to talk about recasting it, but casting of this movie is so you can pluck almost anyone into any role that I'm not like.
So you say recasting it or recasting it?
Can I get one more take?
Yeah. I think if DreamWorks made this movie, they would have to re-Katzenberg it. But yeah, so I guess let's talk at least about like Rum Tum Tugger, the sexual. If you could cast any person from any point in history as Rum Tum Tugger, who would you pick?
Oh, any point in history? I mean, I kind of, if we were going like modern day, I would say like put Harry Styles in there. He's in his his movie moment right now.
Mhm.
Very popular. I could see him in that milk bar, just like making it happen, right?
Mhm. Love
You wouldn't
that.
think
I'd love
Derulo?
to see. Oh, I mean, I don't. First of all, yeah, I have no. I'll get Derulo back for the reboot. He's like
True.
having the time
That's
of his life.
Derulo.
And I think that the Judi Dench and Ian McKellen are the two, and Jason Derulo, I guess, are the three people who, like, I don't want to call them stunt cast because they don't feel like stunt cast, but all of the other Hollywood casts feel a little stunt casty. And like the performances that I love are all of the people who are dancers and the randos without a Wikipedia page.
Right.
Which I think made the Victoria thing work in this, is that she was a
Yes.
relatively unknown in the film sense. I think she's a dancer who had
She's
some,
like, yeah, I think she's like a principal.
right. But in terms of, movie audiences, very unknown. And I think that's the only reason it worked. I mean, if that was Taylor Swift, we might not be having this conversation, or we'd really be having this
Right.
conversation.
I got together some trivia about the movie. I'm going to skip over a lot of it, but I have to read this one. Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber was so affected by the disastrous reception of this movie that he ended up adopting a Havanese puppy and had the dog registered as a therapy pet. When asked by the airline via a note if he really needed the dog, Lloyd Webber responded, "Yes, just see what Hollywood did to my musical cats."
They did to my boy.
The airline sent an approval back with a note saying no doctor's report required. We also, before we get too deep, we should talk about the butthole cut.
Please.
Two anonymous VFX crew members have come out to say that the butthole cut was real in a sense. That is to say, buttholes were not intentionally animated onto the actors, but the CGI fur was animated in such a way that it was very unfortunate looking, and they caught it while viewing an edit, and it was apparently one guy's job to go through and take out all the buttholes. I don't know who was low man on the totem pole that week.
Did they just cut James Corden's performance? That's just
Come on.
that was mean.
I just released the butthole cut.
Release
Release it. Give us the buttholes.
I mean, when's the next kind of important anniversary of this film? When's the 5-year? When's the 10-year? Like,
So
when can we write to Tom Hooper about this?
I'm assuming that's on the trivia, but like it was released with unfinished CGI, wasn't it?
It was also released, with as you mentioned, Judi Dench's hand with her wedding ring was in a shot, and in a truly unprecedented move, Universal basically gave studios a patch for the movie. They updated the movie a week after it had been released.
I think I saw the patch because we wanted to wait till we could laugh.
Really get
I
drunk.
didn't want to go early and ruin it for anyone. Like seriously, because some people were going on ironically.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to be there.
I was. Yeah, literally.
Okay, sorry to interrupt our reboot talk, but should we just jump right into the song? We're pretty late in the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is our when we reboot the musical, and when this gets picked up, like they did with Beautiful Ghosts, we want to add a song, right? We want to.
But we're not keeping Beautiful Ghost. Beautiful Ghost does not make it into the reboot. We're agreed on that, right?
You know what? I'll take that. As long as my song makes it in, yeah, Swiftie can get no resids.
It's getting beautifully ghosted.
Yes. And so Steph and I sat down and tried to figure out what this musical need. Honestly, it's a very easy musical to insert a song into because it's just characters walking in and saying, "Here's who I am." And so Steph had the idea that she was like, well, these guys have got to be getting catnip from someone. So who are they getting catnip from? And then she said 3 words that changed my life. And those words were nip the link. And I guess that's all I want to say before I go ahead and play this for you guys. So here we go, 1 minute and 50 seconds. I guess I know that's not all I want to. Here's what I want to say. This process of me writing songs to add to musicals, I guess what you should know is that I don't understand music theory. And there was a point where yesterday Steph was like, well, I can add some background vocals. I can go up a third or down a third or whatever you need me to do. And I said, I don't know what that means. And that should tell you everything you need to know about the process that me and Steph have of writing and adding these songs to the musicals. I don't understand musical theory. I just like to write songs sometimes.
I thought you were going to go, I don't understand music theory or music practice.
I think the listener will be able to judge for themselves. So here we go. This is our song that we're adding into our remake of Cats. Nip the link, only on Kiss FM.
This is when they're walking in.
Nip the link, nip the link, nip the link, oh boy. Nip the link, nip the link, nip the link, oh boy. In the middle of the night when you feel that itch running up your tail, you can't go to the pet store to get your fix, you can't order it in the mail. There's only one cat that you can call to take you to the brink. 9 lives to die, might as well get high. You gotta call Nip the Link. Nip the link, nip the link. Put the me back in meow. Nip the link, nip the link. Check me out when it's time to check out. Some cats like valerian and some like silver vine. Some cats say,
I like my kibble and crossword just fine.
They don't let us cheat their bud, don't let us drink in bars. So call the cat who takes you from the gutter to the stars. Nip the link, nip the link. Let's get extra sensory. Nip the link, nip the link. I'm a nip dispensary. Every Tomcat, Dick, and Sally knows Nip would be up their alley, but you're so worried what they'll all think. You all want Nip admitted, but no one knows just where to get it. Everyone just needs a sneaky link. Nip the link, nip the link. I'll find you if you're down. Nip the link, nip the link. Just have some nip and roll around, yeah. Nip the link, nip the link. I don't know why this stuff's allowed. Nip the link, nip the link. But I'm on nip right now. Ow! There it is. Nip the link. I should have mentioned this before. And backup vocals by Tina and Steph. Adam, you were not involved. So I guess now's as good a time to mention as any of the only place where you'll be able to find the songs that we write on this podcast will be our Patreon for Dumb Fun Podcast at patreon.com/dumbfun. So check that out. There's a bunch of different ways you can support us, and we certainly appreciate it. Tina, Adam, thank you guys so much for being our first guests and talking about the best musical movies that have been made.
Thank you.
Cats 2019. Tina, this is a question that we always ask comedians, and I don't know exactly what you're going to do with it, but is there anything you'd like to plug?
Nothing. I'm a mom and I sit at home. So we're all good. We're
Wonderful.
good.
I think it's time for you to start your own podcast. You're so delightful in this. You got the setup.
You'll certainly be back.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna start my own competing podcast.
Oh no! Podcast the movie the musical.
Yes.
Adam, what do you got coming up?
People can just find me on the socials, the ATP Burke, and then there's a link tree there that just has all my shows coming up. You can hear me on Wait, Don't Tell Me on August the 6th.
Beautiful. You're one of this country's great stand-up comedians. People should always see you live if they get the chance.
Thank you very much.
Steph?
Check out my podcast. It's called Musical, the Movie, the Podcast. It's what you're currently listening to.
Perfect. You get a taste of that Patreon too, as well as I guess I'll just mention it's the Dumb Fun Podcast Network, which is 3 podcasts total, 30 characters, which Adam, you're a friend of. You've been on that show. You played upwards of 1 character.
Yes.
2. You played 2 characters. And a new podcast, which just started last week and will be coming out alternating Mondays with this podcast called Fanny Falls Demon Hunter, which is a fake rewatch podcast that I have started with Steph Weber, where we play washed up actors from a TV show from the 90s, talking about the TV show, playing clips from the TV show, interviewing people that worked on the TV show. It never actually happened, but we're acting like it did. It's so much fun, and it took way more work than you think to make all the fake clips of the show. It's an absolute delight, and please check that out. Fanny Falls Demon Hunter, that's where you get your podcast. And again, you can support 30 characters, Fanny Falls Demon Hunter, and Musical the Movie the Podcast at patreon.com/dumbfun. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. And I think that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much. Steph, anything you want to say?
No, I was just thinking that it really feels like we should have like something to sing here, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, are you going to have like an outro song?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the listener's about to hear the best outro song that I've definitely written.
2, and 1, 2, 3, hit it.
Musical the Movie the Podcast. Musical the Movie the Podcast. Musical the Movie the Podcast with Andy and Steph. Fun, dumb.